Hey, Michael with XForcePC. I want to talk about these little flight instrument panels from Saitek. I am not a fan of these panels, but for some people these things work. Maybe they fit, into a cockpit that you've done, that you've built at your house. Maybe you want to use the Sim Avionics panel and you want to put a bunch of these in there. Maybe you want to be able to turn the knobs, because on here you can turn the knobs. You see the altimeter moving there. There's a number of reasons why you might want to use these. But again, they're $150, and typically you can buy a monitor for $150, use Air Manager, and put a whole bunch of instruments on a monitor. But let's take a closer look. This is using the built-in plug-in from Saitek to run this panel. And let me just scroll through the instruments. They're very rudimentary. They're not very pretty. I don't think there's as many of them as this other plug-in I want to show you. So there we go. I'm kind of running through all the instruments. I'm just hitting the up and down arrows to roll through these. There's airspeed and so forth. Not the greatest looking instruments in the world, but there is a third-party plug-in that you can purchase at xplane.org. And so what I want to do is I want to install that on here and then show you how it's different. This plug-in costs $39, and if you're going to have multiples of these, it's well worth the $39 investment. It's more reliable because half the time, if you've got a bunch of these, you'll have one that doesn't want to start up, and then you got to shut the whole sim back down and start it back up again and hope all 6 or however many you have work. Well, this other plug-in works a whole lot better. Hey, Michael with XForcePC. We're here in, I believe this is 172, and we're running here Saitek panels for this radio panel. It also will handle another radio panel. It'll handle the multi-panel and the switch panel. The reason we're using Saitek panels for this is it's better than the one from Saitek, and the one from Saitek is incompatible with the plug-in we're using here, which is the $39 plug-in for the flight instrument panels, which is a whole lot better. It's much more reliable, and you don't have to look at the advertising every time you exit X-Plane. And I'll scroll through some of these instruments. There's the airspeed, of course, the artificial horizon. All the instruments look a little nicer too than the ones that come from Saitek. Altimeter, vertical speed, turn coordinator, and you'll see some of the, I just have this sitting up here. Some of these buttons on the side actually have functionality. I'm just going to keep scrolling through. And there's the engine RPM. When you switch to a jet, there's some more engine information: manifold pressure, oil pressure, and then we're back to airspeed again. When you switch to a jet or a turbine engine, then a lot of these instruments will change. But what I have found in some cases is you have to exit the sim and go back in for this to kind of go back to the like what you would use for a Cessna 172. So keep that in mind. That's the one flaw I've found in the whole setup. But otherwise, it's very reliable and a big improvement. This is a much better way to do it than using the Saitek plug-in, which would handle both of these things, but do it very poorly and unreliably. And I swear 9 times out of 10, you start the sim up and one of your panels doesn't work. And then you have to shut the thing back down and unplug the panel and plug it back in, start the sim back up, and hope that all the panels work. This is much more reliable.